Okay, this is the CIA Connection by J.E. Kelly. And I can only assume that he didn't put his full name just because of the nature of this book, or Jim Kelly, I guess is his book. But I actually got an inscribed copy here, written to my arch mentor or something and friend, Jim Kelly. Leo, my arch mentor and friend, Jim Kelly. So I don't know what happened to Leo that this book came into my ownership. I found this on Amazon. And I got this because I think I'm saying this right, I've done a lot of research into some of the like Air America and some of the other CIA programs involving clandestine airfields like Mena, Arkansas and things like that. This gentleman was an aircraft mechanic for what would later become basically Air America in the Marana, I think I'm saying that right, airfield or air park in Arizona. And that was a place that became kind of notorious for being kind of a critical component in bringing, taking weapons down to South or Central America and flying cocaine back into the United States as part of the whole Iran-Contra scandal. So now he doesn't talk any about that. Now, this is the frustrating thing about this. I got this hoping that it would have some interesting pieces of the puzzle there. Unfortunately, it did not. It is a fascinating slice of life for the life of a mechanic working at for Air America. That part was really interesting, and it was a very entertaining and interesting read. And I do have a few things dog-eared throughout, just about some of the places he mentions. It's interesting. He details the process of how he was screened, and they broke it to him that he was working for the CIA, because I think for the first few months that he was an employee, he didn't realize that he was an agency employee, basically an agency contractor. So they broke that to him later on. So there's a lot of interesting stuff about how CIA front companies function, things like that. I think he did a very noble job of stepping around some of the landmines inherent in being a CIA contract employee and not violating his oath of secrecy, which he talks about in here. So a lot of this is just a slice of life of an aircraft mechanic going to, flying to, he spends a considerable amount of time down in Ecuador, accompanying a CIA pilot down there that's working for the embassy. So there's some interesting information, but if you don't get this expecting it to be some kind of tell-all about clandestine operations, because it is not. But again, just to be clear, if Mr. Kelly is watching this, it's a very enjoyable read. And I found myself really sympathizing with him about just his day-to-day life. He does a great job of communicating just what it feels like to be in a company and suddenly discover that it's actually a front company for the CIA, and just some of the ups and downs with some of his relationships, having pilots die, and seeing some of these planes getting prepped and sent off to places they don't know where for who knows what. So just a lot of fascinating information, and I have a feeling that this guy knew or knows a lot more than what he's able to say in this book, which it's unfortunate that he's not able to say that. But it's interesting what he closes with. I find really, really telling. He says, this is the final paragraph. He says, as a young man, my connection with the CIA changed me in ways I couldn't possibly have realized or understood until I was much older. As we age, we see things differently, and I hope more clearly. Through our experience, we begin to believe in a different set of ideas and cast aside those which no longer serve us. To this day, because of my involvement with Intermountain Aviation, which Intermountain was also Air America, Evergreen, and all that, Intermountain Aviation and the CIA, I now question everything and everyone. I have little belief in our government or our politicians. It's all about the money now. One thing, however, is still true. Nothing our government does is what it seems. And that is how he ends it. He does have an epilogue, which gives a little bit of his personal information. But overall, again, no massive revelations of, oh, you're never going to believe this. There's not any of that, but it is a fascinating look into just the nuts and bolts of how that kind of front company works, and seeing that from kind of the ground level view from kind of an everyman kind of guy. So an enjoyable read, but not one of the things I was really hoping to dig into was maybe more of the goings on at that airfield out by Tucson, Arizona. Now, but to be fair, he did not work there during the Iran-Contra period. He worked there, I think, through the late 60s. I think through like 68 or 69 or so. So anyway, good book, just not necessarily, as I would call it, a piece of the puzzle or something like that. Very enjoyable read, just not necessarily a big, not any bombshells in this to speak of. So there you go. The CIA Connection by J.E. Kelly. Oh, and publishing date of this is from 2013. So there you go.